What if one habit you've had for most of your life isn't part of your personality? What if it was simply the safest way to survive childhood? Have you ever apologized for things that weren't your fault? Said yes when you desperately wanted to say no? Stayed in relationships that made you unhappy because you were afraid of disappointing someone? Or spent hours replaying conversations, wondering if you upset another person? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Millions of people believe these behaviors are signs of kindness or maturity. Psychology suggests something very different. They may be survival strategies you learned as a child. And the most dangerous part, you can spend your entire life believing they're part of who you are. The first truth is, children learn to survive before they learn to understand. Imagine you're 5 years old, trying to answer one simple question every day. What do I need to do to feel safe and loved? Children don't analyze their environment. They adapt to it. If being quiet keeps the house peaceful, they become quiet. If perfect grades earn affection, they become perfectionists. If making everyone happy prevents conflict, they become people pleasers. At the time, these aren't personality traits, they're survival strategies. Your brain doesn't ask whether a strategy is healthy. It asks whether it works. If apologizing stopped arguments, your brain remembered it. If hiding your emotions kept you from being criticized, your brain remembered that too. Years passed. Your life changed, but your brain never received the message that the danger had ended, so it kept running the same program. The second truth is, your adult life is often being controlled by outdated rules. Think about how many decisions you make automatically. You apologize before speaking. You over-explain simple choices. You feel guilty for resting. You panic when someone seems disappointed. None of these happen because you consciously choose them. They happen because your brain learned them so early, they now feel completely normal. Most people never question these patterns because they've become invisible. They think, and that's just the way I am. But psychology tells us automatic behaviors are often learned, not inherited. One of the most common examples is people-pleasing. Contrary to popular belief, it isn't simply being kind. It's constantly sacrificing your own needs to avoid rejection, conflict, or disappointment. It feels generous on the outside, but underneath it's driven by fear. Have you ever noticed how uncomfortable it feels to say no? Even when exhausted, even when overwhelmed, a small voice whispers, "What if they get upset?" That voice rarely belongs to the adult you are today. It belongs to the child who once believed love had to be earned. This is known as conditioning. The brain searches for patterns that kept you emotionally safe in the past and repeats them automatically. The problem is your brain doesn't always recognize when those patterns are no longer useful. It keeps using yesterday's survival strategy to solve today's completely different problems. This explains why some adults apologize even when someone else made the mistake, or struggle to set boundaries without feeling selfish. They aren't weak, they're following emotional rules their younger brain created years ago. The third truth is, people-pleasing has a hidden cost. Every time you ignore your own needs to keep someone else comfortable, your brain receives the same message. Other people's feelings matter more than mine. Over months and years, resentment quietly grows. Confidence slowly fades. You lose touch with what you actually want because you've spent so long focused on everyone else. Ironically, the habit that once helped you feel accepted often creates the very loneliness you're trying to avoid. People begin knowing the version of you that always agrees, always helps, always smiles, but they never truly know you because the real you has learned to stay hidden. You don't lose yourself overnight. You lose yourself one small compromise at a time. The fourth truth is, you can rewrite the pattern. One of the greatest discoveries in modern neuroscience is that your brain is not fixed. This ability is called neuroplasticity. Every time you choose a healthier response instead of an automatic one, your brain begins building a new pathway. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Saying no feels selfish. Setting boundaries feels wrong, but you're not doing something dangerous, you're doing something unfamiliar. Healing begins when you stop believing your value depends on keeping everyone happy. Healthy relationships don't require constant self-sacrifice. They require honesty, respect, and boundaries. The people who genuinely care about you won't love you less because you started protecting your own peace. The child version of you wasn't weak for developing these habits. They were intelligent. They adapted in the best way they could. Emotional survival habits work like carrying an umbrella every day because it rained once years ago. Eventually you forget why you're carrying it. It simply becomes part of who you are. You continue carrying it long after the storm has passed, believing it's your personality when it's really just old protection. So the next time you catch yourself apologizing for something that wasn't your fault, or saying yes when your heart is screaming no, pause and ask yourself one question. Is this the adult I'm choosing to be, or the child who once believed this was the only way to feel safe? Because your childhood explains you. It does not define you. And the moment you recognize the habit, you take away the power it has held over your life for years. What's one habit you've realized didn't come from your personality, but from your childhood? Share it in the comments. Subscribe to Teeh Psyche for more hidden psychology every week.